Hello, my name is Jesse Meekum with another episode of the Jesse Meekum Show, and I'm here each week to obsess out loud about spending purposefully, saving aspirationally, and giving joyfully. It all comes down to just giving every dollar a job. And I'll be honest, the intro of this show, where we talk about spending purposefully and saving aspirationally, as if they're different things, I want to address that. Now, I did an episode a little while ago where I talked about deleting your emergency fund. And people were either confused or they disagreed with me. And I think they disagreed with me because they were confused. I was not saying that you don't have money set aside for emergent things. I was only saying that money, when given a name, a purpose, a job, it feels better when you spend it that way, and you get more clarity when you label it that way. And that is true for all savings. So let me just tell you this. My parents retired a little while ago. And I remember for years, my dad gave me like money books when I was growing up. Like I've been schooled in that, Millionaire Next Door. Honestly, I know on our other channel, we talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Ben kind of gave it a little bit of a squeeze on the critique. And I for a 14-year-old or whatever I was, I remember getting something out of the story. So I took to all kinds of books like that, the Little Book of Common Sense Investing, and all these books that talked about what you're supposed to do with your money. And I remember sitting around the dinner table, and my dad would mention things like retirement and IRAs and Roth IRAs that came out later. And I would listen. And he was always talking about how he and mom were saving up their money for retirement. Well, you fast forward 40 years or whatever, and they're living the good life, and they've retired. And what I remember hearing was just how this retirement money always had this special label. It's for retirement. It's for retirement. And that's one of the ultimate savings categories. This is for retirement. And then you have to do this weird thing once you retire. And they're wrestling with this right now, and I watch them do it, where you have to flip a switch and now say, this money is for spending. This money is for spending. And it can be a little bit of a trick. And I find that in talking with people about this, the best thing to do is just recognize that all money is meant to be spent. There is no such thing as savings. We use savings as as a label to say spending later, essentially. And you all know my favorite example is my tricked out coffin that I'm going to have. The ultimate in spent later money, where it's going to blind people with how the gold trimming, and as I want the funeral has to be held at a high noon, essentially. Well, no, not high noon, because then the glance wouldn't be quite right. Maybe early morning or like late afternoon, where the sun will glance off the coffin and just kind of hit people in the face, like a parting wave, if you will. And that's what I'm going for. So the coffin will be my ultimate expression in, wow, he saved that money and then he spent it. And that was my last thing that I got to do. We're working on saving for kids' college, for instance, and they're starting to enter college. So all this time we're like, we're saving for college, saving. And I'll be honest, it's interesting to actually have that money start to be given more specific jobs like, rent or books or tuition or whatever it may be. Name your savings as something that will be spent in the future. And you will find that the spending then is more enjoyable. You will also find that your thinking around what that money really needs to do will be more, you'll be more clear-minded about it. You'll have more clarity on how much it needs to be, exactly what the spending will look like. I want you to actually create a story in your mind for that future money, or that money now that will be used in the future, I should say. Create a story, like paint it in your mind. Here's what, like I did with the coffin a little bit, with this, where the sun would be and how it would hit the coffin and how it would hit people's eyes, and everyone would have to wear sunglasses. That's the story of that money being spent. And you'll find if you give yourself, just take a few seconds to kind of vividly imagine that money being spent. If it's in retirement, maybe being spent on an around the world cruise or something. Or if you're doing, you got some big hobby going, maybe it's building out that, like getting that next level of a 3D printer if you're into that. Or maybe if you're just saying, hey, I'm I lost a ton of weight and I'm revamping my wardrobe. And so you'd be kind of looking ahead and being like, I want to have some money saved up. So when I hit my target, like I can go and I can just love spending this money. So whatever it is that you're looking for, like vividly create a story in your mind of the future for that money to then be spent in that way. And then you don't have this weird thing where savings is this sacred label that we attach to any money that we aren't going to spend imminently. And you'll find that you love how you spend a little more. I could give you just countless examples of saving up for things. The first time we bought a piano, well, it's the only time we bought a piano. It was our biggest purchase we'd ever made, Julie and I. And we saved and saved and saved for that thing. And it was just a joy. It was an absolute joy to finally go there and pay for it, drop all that cash on it, and have it delivered and have it just the sound of it in our home with, granted, 4 and 6 year olds playing on it, but just knowing like this is going to be something that blesses our family for years and years, and then blesses my kids' families for decades to come. And we had just plodded along and saved for years for that piano. I remember it also when we bought our car, we bought several cars, but the one that sticks out in my mind because it was brand new was our Honda Odyssey. May she rest in peace. And it was just a joy to go and just drop all that money on that car. Man, we loved that thing. And that's what money is for. It's meant to be spent. So when you're saving up and saving up and saving up, have the story in your mind, what you want that money, what you want that to be like, and then make it happen with the money. That's the whole point. Drop me some comments. I'd be curious. I try and answer pretty much every comment. Drop me some comments down below if you like what you're saving up for, what you're most excited for. I would love to hear it. And if you are not watching this on YouTube, but you listen the old-fashioned way with the podcast, then just shoot me an email at askjesse@ynab.com. And if you're new here and you don't even know what YNAB is, because I have not mentioned it one time until just now, you can check out our software that helps you absolutely set aside money for very specific, joyful purposes. And it's called YNAB. Go to ynab.com/Jesse to get started. Give it a spin. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to hear what you're saving your money for. In other words, what you will be spending your money on. Until next time, remember, just give every dollar a job.